Chapter 13. Mr. Collins was not a sensible man, and the deficiency of nature had been but little assisted by education or society. The greatest part of his life having been spent under the guidance of an illiterate and miserly father, and though he belonged to one of the universities, he had merely kept the necessary terms, without acquiring a taste for literature or society. The subjection in which his father had brought him up had given him originally great humility of manner, but it was now a good deal counteracted by the self-conceit of a weak head, living in retirement, and the consequential feelings of early and unexpected prosperity. A patroness introducing him to the acquaintance of her family was a distinction which he felt very deeply. Lady Catherine de Bourgh rendered him indefinitely happy by inviting him to dine at Rosings every time he was not otherwise engaged. His mind was a mixture of pride and obsequiousness, self-importance and humility. He was now ardently wishing to make atonement for past injuries by being civil to the present daughters of Mr. Bennet, and soon after their return home Mr. Collins arrived. Mr. Bennet had given consent to his arrival with the utmost indifference. The letter was read aloud. Mrs. Bennet immediately recollected how many years since she had last heard of him, and conjectured, without knowing anything of the matter, that he must be in great want of money and coming to beg of them. Elizabeth was all attention. She was fond of anything ridiculous. Mr. Collins's letter was long and labored. He began with a solemn assurance of his earnest desire to make some amends for the injury which he must do the daughters of Mr. Bennet by inheriting the estate, and went on to say that he was very happy in the patronage of Lady Catherine de Bourgh, whose manner of living he described with great minuteness. He concluded by asking permission to come to Longbourn on Monday fortnight, as he was anxious to form some acquaintance with a family who could never be strangers to him. Mr. Bennet's sense of propriety was shocked. "It is too absurd to send such a letter to a man with whom he has not exchanged a word for many years," cried he. "I dare say he means well, but he writes like a fool." The family were all on the lookout for Mr. Collins on Monday fortnight. They saw him coming through the paddock. He was a tall, heavy-looking young man of 25. His air was awkward and his manners stiff. He had a grave, pompous expression of countenance and a solemn, pompous way of speaking. He made many professions of concern for their loss of the estate, and was at pains to make it clear that he was not to blame. He spent the rest of the evening in praising Lady Catherine de Bourgh, her daughter, and her house, till Elizabeth could hardly help laughing. "It is a most charming house," said he, "and the grounds are delightful." He then added, with a significant look at Elizabeth, "Indeed, I have no doubt that your good sense will hereafter aid you in finding a proper husband, by which means the loss of the Longbourn estate may be happily repaired." Elizabeth looked at her father to see how he bore this impertinence, but Mr. Bennet only smiled and said, "You are too hasty, Mr. Collins. You forget that I am not yet dead."